Hey guys. No, I'm kidding. What's up? We're here. It's Thursday. It's bet on it. We're back for another diabolical week. We got the power triangle back in effect. Whoa.
Oh.
No gang signs, okay?
No,
gang
sorry.
Was that
I was
Illuminati?
just saying we're doing good.
Was that Illuminati? I apologize.
Nah.
Yeah.
Hey. But hey, I'm Chev. That's Jeremiah. That's the man.
It was AI slop. Sorry.
Hey, we're gonna fill tonight's show with AI slop. But that is
Fill all the
Justin
cracks.
Bryan,
Fill all the
aka
cracks,
Quality Stats, the man with the plan. Fellas, how we doing today? Don't everybody go first.
I'm doing great.
Happy to be here. Happy to be
love being here. I'm excited to be here. Excited to this past week I hit a nice 140 to 1 in week 11. For every dollar you bet, you got 140, and that was a nice little hit for me. So, and it was published. So it was a published bet.
Yes. Can you tell us about that briefly?
Yeah. So the way that I do everything is math and data are the core of every single thing I do. So I have a model where I basically use an entire game environment over so every team's statistics over the last 4 weeks. So I have hundreds of variables. I use all of these variables to create a distribution of outcomes for the upcoming game. So when we look at matchups of the upcoming game, I can see a distribution of how many passing yards do we think they're going to get? How many rushing yards? How many, all this other stuff, right? And I compare that to DraftKings odds. And I look to see where are the edges, right? Where does my model say, this line really should be higher? Like we are projecting, my model's predicting a much higher passing yard amount than DraftKings is. And on those examples, I tend to attack those, right? That's where I want to attack. And sometimes my model isn't great at considering weather, right? Weather is really hard to predict and it's really hard to deal with. So my model doesn't have that. I have to take some human intuition into this, but my model was very high on Carolina passing last week against the Atlanta defense. And it was very high in the attempts and the yards for them. And it really wasn't really high, in general, it was just high relative to DraftKings. Bryce Young had been passing for 100 yards a game for so long that DraftKings line was 170. It was nothing for Bryce Young. And I ended up betting his 310, which was the max they would let me bet. I would have pushed it as high as they would have let me go, but I bet his max 310. It was plus 3,000 something. I combined that with a Tedero McMillan. He was also a model play. He was in my route-based heroes model last week, which is a positive regression model. This, the idea is that we need positive regression. So I bet on Tedero McMillan, and then I bet Bryce Young's pass attempts. Combine all three of those, and you get a 140 to 1, which is for people out there, that is a 0.71% chance of hitting that, right? That is the actual odds of hitting that are incredibly low. Most people, you're going to be lucky to hit one of those every 3 years. It's something that you really aren't supposed to hit a lot, but my model said it was a mathematical advantage. We hit it, and I consider that good process. And every week I'm not going to hit those. And every week, people aren't going to hit those every week, but it really, all you need is one a season and boom, you're profitable for the year. So,
and that's the basis of the show. Hey, we're going to give you some alternative lines that either you can just tail, which again, we talked about it before the show. It's hey, we want to teach you to fish, to find these things, as opposed to just giving you a bet slip and saying, hey, and then you come back and you're all mad because your parlay missed by one leg because you had 14 legs on it. And this was just a part of it. But that being said, y'all want to get into one of the most diabolical games. I've been excited about this dialogue, and I'm glad that it's at the top of the sheet here. Let's talk Colts and Chiefs. And you got, look, the floor is yours. What, Jeremiah, what piqued your interest here? And I'll let you ask, lead the discussion here.
Oh yeah, and love it. Good evening, everybody. Chiefs, Colts. It's been a matchup. We're trying to see whether or not Daniel Jones is fraudulent or will he get exposed. We've talked about how the Chiefs can really adjust off a bye week. We saw them lose by 3 points. So now out for blood 2 weeks out because, hey, there's blood in the water. for the Chiefs and talk of, hey, could they miss the playoffs? They're going to make a push, and this seems like a game ripe for them to do well. But again, for our betting slips, looking at some of the lines, we are contractually obligated to mention Alec Pierce. Tyler Warren, I'm very interested in that matchup. Alt lines right now are posted on DK. Right now, FanDuel not quite there. Interesting tail event plays, Joseph. And how would you correlate the quarterbacks based on the receivers here? But if you want to get to plus money, 80 yards alternate for Rashee Rice at plus 109. So you have to shift it to the right to 80 yards for Rashee Rice. So I'd want to see, is that worth it? And then Alec Pierce averaging 73 yards a game. You get, it's crazy. This must be a misprint, and it's been all season, Joseph. 60 alt receiving yards is plus money, plus 100 for Alec Pierce. And then Tyler Warren, he gets to plus money at plus 131 at alt 60 yards. So would you play Rice, Pierce, Warren? How would you correlate it with passing yards? What's a good tail event play? Maybe something you'd want to muster 3-4 legs here.
Yeah. So the tough part is that when I like thinking about how the whole point of the show, right, is we're trying to find edge, and we're trying to find edge specifically at tail events, like at far off events that are really unlikely. Like that's the goal of how you really should be aiming at doing this, and then trying to keep your legs to a minimum, right? Like that, I want to preach that as much as I can, like keeping 4 legs or less. Like that's like the maximum you should be betting on any kind of single, like one game situation is 4 legs. But talking about this game more specifically, this is one of the tricky games. I think people don't realize how often we get tricked by games like this, where, man, these are 2 very fun offenses that are about to play each other. This must be an offensive shootout, right? And modern day NFL is very different than I don't know, even like 2019 when we had like Rams Chiefs back in the day, where 67 point total. Offenses are so efficient. Like that's what makes offenses good nowadays, is like their efficiency. So if like the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, and in a way I almost mean the worst team in the NFL at just like holding onto the ball. They are so good at when they have the ball, they move the chains and they hold on to it. You know who's also really good at that? The Colts. And I think this is a game where a lot of the value is going to get sucked out by DraftKings, FanDuel, Vegas. They're going to raise these lines because people's expectation is a high scoring game.
50.5 over under.
Exactly. The expectation is a high scoring game. Whereas because of the efficiency of both of these offenses, it's more likely than not, in my opinion, that they're not going to have enough time to gain these yards, right? Like time is going to run out on this game before, like, as the Chiefs possess the ball for like 9 minutes on a drive, the Colts are going to get it. They're going to have the ball for 9 minutes, and like the first half's going to be over before before you could snap. It's going to be over. So just to get back to your point, to finish this up, this is a game in which I'm not going to be super attacking. Like I might attack some quarter one stuff. Like I think the Colts have been a very good quarter one team, like a very sneaky good quarter one team, like for props, like books have not adjusted properly. I think that they're a very good quarter one team, but this is a game where the props are going to get so inflated that a lot of the edge that we would normally have is going to get lost because there's this time factor, right? The time is going to run. The clock is going to be running so much. Just pay attention to how much the clock runs in this game.
Fellas, before we move on from this one, I wanted to bring up, obviously we're contractual. We fulfilled our contractual obligation to mention, show hero, all right, Hall of Famer Alec Pierce,
the king.
All right. Now, a guy from weeks 1 and 2 that I believe was early on a P-Whopper, a route-based hero that popped back out last week, Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan Thornton. So the interesting one, and again, you know what? I'm going to save this for after, like the big brain thought for after the show. But the interesting thought would be, could one of those guys flip the basically the game flow with one play, 60-yard bomb that, Tyquan Thornton caught, Alec Pierce, potentially doing the old school Alec Pierce stuff and not just being like a complete receiver, which that's been incredible to see, like him actually being a real receiver now. But he could flip the game, and that's kind of where I think that this goes out of hand. Like, again, we would be chasing a tail event of a tail event, right? Because the Colts are so good at stretching out possessions and controlling the ball, and then the Chiefs are death by 1,000 paper cuts. So that's where I think we got signals crossed, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Joseph, because that's a very sharp point to bring out. Like, hey, this is a really good defense. Both of these teams possess the ball really well. Are we sure that it doesn't just grind to a halt? That's a story. You can tell another story, but it's just less likely based on the data that we have available to us.
Exactly. And so that's the really important, that's such an important point, it is a less likely outcome, right? The issue is, and this is where my big issue with this game is, and I can't wait to watch this game. I think it's going to be, I hope it's one of the best games of the season. Right. The issue is that it's being priced with a 50.5 point total, right? Like you're paying a premium to bet these alts, right? So if you get your big play, like it's like going to Walmart, everything's like 15% more expensive than it should be, right? Yeah. If everything that you walked up to said 15% more than normal, you probably wouldn't buy it. Like you'd wait until a sale, right? And that's where I think that we're at this, at least for the specific game, is that I'm gonna have a few bets on it, and it'll likely revolve around it'll probably revolve around the Chiefs side of things. I think that that's the more interesting side of this. But I also think that this is really it's a game that is going to get priced out of. It's going to get out of my price range, right? Yeah. Like where I feel comfortable with the edge and the value given this game environment.
Now, there's one important thing that I wanted to bring up to your point is, like, we just saw this exact example with the Rams and the Seahawks.
Yep. I was going to bring that up before I said, that's the perfect example.
Like two great offenses, but two stone cold defenses, and the under hits because we all priced it at 48, 49.5, and they score 40 total points or whatever it was, or 40 on the nose. It was 21-19. Yeah. I thought it was 22-19 for a second. I was like, no, I'm tripping. But anyway, that's the example, the literal nearest possible lowest common denominator example. Just 1 week ago, we had a game with two great offenses, but they had good defenses, and it didn't get to the over, which means that we can't get to our tail events because this is more of a thing. But let's move on to a game that interests me. There's a couple other games on the sheet, but I don't want to talk about. I'm sure you guys don't want us to talk about Vikings Packers because everything got nuked because 9 is bad, and Jets Ravens. Like, I'm not going to punish you. We're here to educate, not humiliate. Yep. So we're gonna move to Steelers Bears.
Real quick, just a super quick point before we do that. I do want to say, because of exactly what you just said, those might be two of the most interesting games on the slate, right? Because everyone is gonna say, can't bet on Tyrod Taylor. You can't do that. Why not bet 310 for Tyrod Taylor going into this week? Why not look at he revives this Jets passing game? He's a better quarterback than Justin Fields, right? So why not bet those alt lines on a situation where you have a backup coming in? Vegas doesn't really know how to price it. They price it low because that's just kind of the historical data they have. And Tommy DeVito has done this in the past, but he comes in and throws for like 300 yards. And it's not really that crazy of a situation. The Ravens defense is getting better, but they have shown a lot of weakness this season. All I'm saying is that exactly what you just said, Chev, is kind of when I want to attack things, right? Like that, like last week, no one was like, man, I need to get on Panthers passing, right? Like we need to be all over Panthers passing last week, right? It was a gross game to talk about. It was like, how can they do good against the Falcons? Well, that's when they do, right? Mm-hmm. It's when they get you when you least expect it. And I just think that that's just an important point to bring up, is that as we're going through, like when you think something's gross, reconsider it. Why? How? Like, think about your priors and think about like, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe I'm the one that's wrong about this, and I don't like, or maybe like everyone else is wrong and I can be right. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Absolutely.
where that's
No,
where
I mean,
like that's where you should like try to attack. Like you just saying.
So we're here now, and I did put a couple notes in for just what this looks like. So the Ravens are, about 36% man coverage. That's what we had. That's what Fantasy Points data had on there. And we do like chasing those single coverage opportunities because there's opportunities for big plays. This is straight. This is not me saying this. This is straight from the brain of quality stats and how you want to start to kind of look at and inform your research for the week. So we got two interesting things here. Mechie is kind of he turned into the volume play last week, and I do believe Tyrod Taylor is going to be able to get him involved a little bit more than just like 3 or 4 yards down the field. He's at 3.58 yards per route run versus man, and AD Mitchell has a 45% targets per route run versus man. So which one of those, or are you going in a completely different direction? If we're chasing a tail event here, where do you lean?
Well, the fun part is that so like what so you mentioned two great points. John Mechie is like historically really good against single coverage situations. AD Mitchell is like one of the best separators in the NFL. That's not like he just is. He's really good at separating.
That's all.
Yeah, he's bad in a lot of other ways, but he's really good at separating.
Yes. Agreed.
Not to mention, not to leave out. I don't want to leave out. Arian Smith has been one of the best receivers at separating from man coverage in the NFL this season.
Go Dogs.
Right? Go Dogs. So I'm just saying, and then not to mention Isaiah Williams is a coach I was open player. He has been open pretty consistently the last 2 weeks and should be getting more targets. You have a lot of different receivers that are very good against what the Ravens like to do. And you have a new quarterback who is going to get priced very low, right? His yards are going to get priced quite low. I would need to double check the weather. Last week, ever since last week, I'm traumatized with wind and other things. So you want to double check some weather stuff. But to me, this really sets up to be a very nice tail situation for Tyrod Taylor. And honestly, I would probably just I would split my units into like 4 and take a shot with each of them. You know what I mean? I would be like, let's do a Tyrod Arian Smith bet. Let's do a Tyrod AD Mitchell bet. Let's do a Tyrod Isaiah Williams bet. And I would just split it up. Yeah, I'd divide my unit by 4, and then I would just split it up on all 4. And then just see what happens. I don't know what the lines would actually turn out to be, but I can promise you it's probably going to be better than 50-1. It's probably going to be like closer to like 100-1. Like if you bet like high props with high alts on both Tyrod and a receiver plus maybe a touchdown. And you're looking at some very nice return on what is a very legitimately possible situation.
Well, AD Mitchell is plus 350 at alt 60 yards, plus 541 at 70. And then Mechie at alt 40 yards is plus 229. To your point, I've thought of too, the kind of revenge narrative of Tyrod Taylor going to Baltimore and just having that. There's something about the last time he had an opportunity to start, he really cooked for a stretch. And he's such a capable, good quarterback. He's somebody who I think is going to make a great coach someday because he's had the job, lost it, had it, lost it. He'll be able to deal with players who have adversity. But to your point, a better thrower of the football. What are we looking for? What did we get in the last game for AD Mitchell? There were some targets. There were some drops. If we were to bet on it, I would venture to say regression is coming and there will be a ball that connects. And to your point, Joseph, the wide distribution is there for somebody like AD Mitchell and Tyrod Taylor to connect. I really love that play. It's disgusting, but we've seen it happen before in the NFL. Anybody can hoop on any given day. And if we're going to get a little bit of a better throwing situation for the Jets with Tyrod Taylor, I think that's where everybody's pushing away from AD Mitchell and Mechie. Why not go fire it up for the Jets? Like you say, plus odds. Would you ladder and stagnate? I know you said you'll take plus 310 for somebody like Tyrod Taylor. Would you ladder that with some tail plays where you go alt 250, alt 275 so that you catch anything.
Yeah.
If you miss,
so smarter people than me do that. I'm not the best ladderer, mainly because I have I drive to Tennessee every Sunday morning, and I have about an hour and a half to place all of my bets. I just don't have time to ladder all of these things. Like I usually just have to do what I'm most confident in, and then I get driving back. Right? Like it's a very. If I was at home and I had all the time in the world, yeah, I'd probably ladder it. But yeah, just to bring this up. Tyrod Taylor 300, 80 Mitchell 100, 80 Mitchell touchdown. You get that for 100 to 1, right? So he catches one big touchdown, and the Jets pass it more than you expect, and you're looking at 100 to 1 bet. Bet $1, get 100.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. So let me actually get us to the game that I was trying to skip over Jets and Ravens for, and then we pulled the couch cushions out and found $100 bill right there. So do what you want with that. Do what you want with that Jets Ravens game. Fade it at your own risk. You heard here why first. So Steelers Bears. This is one of the most intriguing game environments because both of these teams play a ridiculously high amount of single coverage, and they're not good at it. Like the Steelers have gotten better at somehow, but 2 weeks ago they had the most passing yards allowed in the league. I'm going to check that right now, because I still think that they've got to be close to the top. Yeah, so they've allowed the third most yards, passing yards in the NFL this season, and that's with the $100 million secondary or however much money they spent, it's a lot, and it hasn't been good. So, guys, take it away. Tell me where your leans are, Jeremiah. Is there someone that catches your eye? Because I know there's somebody that caught Joseph's eye.
Oh, yeah, we've been talking, and I listened to the P-Whopper show earlier, so very excited. Make sure you all tune into that with Casey and Joseph. The Steelers, Bears, right now, -2.5 on Bears, over under 45.5. Of course, the Bears owner, Aaron Rodgers, it's in the air. It seems like he's practicing or limited. He's pushing to play. Maybe there could be some alternate spread opportunity for the Bears. Should we anticipate or think that Aaron Rodgers would miss? So I think that would be a forefront play to maybe do a tail event play. But Ben Johnson on Luther Burden. Luther Burden's all the rage. The flippening has happened where Zacchaeus has dropped and the usage is there for Burden, but it has not popped yet, which I think creates a great opportunity for us in fantasy football and in the betting streets, because the price isn't necessarily there. Granted, there is no price right now on alt lines for Luther Burden. Something tells me that the books are waiting to get a little bit more information possibly. But when you have Ben Johnson say, you get what you earn, he's increased snaps, the route running detail, consistency, and making sure his alignments are right. Luther Burden's doing a great job with that. What do we think, Joseph, of getting on somebody like Luther Burden before there's a pop? Because we're probably going to get the best price we can. Because, of course, like you said about the 15% more at Walmart with the Chiefs and Colts, after the pop, you're not going to get the best price on somebody like Luther Burden. So how would you attack Luther Burden and maybe pair with how this game may align?
Yeah, no, I think that's we talked about it with like Aronda Gadsden earlier in the year, and I forget somebody else. I forget who I was right about, but it was
Luther Burden.
It was Luther Burden on his yeah.
Luther Burden versus the Cowboys.
Yeah, so this idea of like catching fire at the right time, like before everyone realizes it, and that's like we were on Alec Pearson week 2, and he, it took like 5 weeks to really get his line up to probably where it should be and where we lost all that value, and that's why I'm not interested anymore, because we lost all that value. But Luther Burden is a situation where I'm absolutely interested in his kind of pre-breakout value, right? Like there's pretty much every sign in typical analytics says, hey, this guy's really good. All of my stuff, which is more advanced, more predictive, all of that, it says that this guy's really good. And like everything says this guy should be breaking out. So I absolutely do not mind betting some alts into what has not been a great passing defense for the Steelers. I know that they've played better in recent weeks, but it is like on the season, they allow a lot of coverage mistakes, right? Like there's a stat that PFF tracks called perfectly covered plays, right? It's like how well, like if all of your defenders did at least the bare minimum, like if they did like well on the play, versus if they made a mistake, like, if someone trips or if they, don't cover where they're supposed to cover and things like that, that's a mistake. And the Steelers were the number one team in the NFL for quite a while at having these mistakes. Ben Johnson, I do think, is like the coordinator to take advantage of mistakes like that and to create those kinds of mistakes. I think that, I very much do not mind buying in on a Luther Burden breakout. The biggest issue with this game is likely that the Bears have been running the ball really well lately. Mm-hmm. And the Steelers' run defense has gotten a lot worse lately. So this is kind of this might turn into a situation where the Bears just have a very big run advantage. That doesn't mean Luther Burden can't have a good game, but it does mean maybe instead of pairing him with Caleb Williams, you pair him with DeAndre Swift, right? And then you're getting some nice little inverse correlation. Maybe the idea is that the Bears are running the ball well and they play action, take a shot to Luther Burden, and then you hit your alts, right? So that's something I'm more interested in, is that kind of angle on this. As far as the other side of the ball is concerned, looking at the Steelers, I actually kind of hope Aaron Rodgers doesn't play for DK Metcalf's sake. I think that they don't go together really well. Mm-hmm. DK Metcalf has been one of the best, top 5 wide receivers at getting open this year. And no, you wouldn't know it. You would have no idea. He is doing really well at getting open. But the problem is he's getting open at 2.5 seconds, and Aaron Rodgers has already thrown the ball. Yeah. So he's getting open like Aaron Rodgers is already looking away, throwing the ball, checking it down to Jaylen Warren, and that's when DK Metcalf is getting open. It's right when he lets go of the ball. And if Aaron Rodgers just looks at him for a tenth of a second longer, it's probably a touchdown. This past week, he was wide open for a touchdown against DJ Turner, and Aaron Rodgers just didn't throw him the ball. And so I think that a Mason Rudolph might actually be maybe not an upgrade for the Steelers offense as a whole, but I think for DK Metcalf, it might be a pretty big upgrade. So I am interested to see kind of maybe what this offense looks like with a different quarterback. Then other than an injured 40-year-old trying to throw DK Metcalf the ball in 2 seconds. So
the issue, I guess the issue with the Aaron Rodgers thing is just that we like you said, we know that he's just not going to hold on to the ball long enough to create either one of the explosives of yesteryear with Jordy Nelson, and the like, or just he's not staying on his first read because there's 7 tight ends on the field and it's hard to see over Darnell Washington. So I don't really it's just shout out, go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Go Dogs.
The Joseph is a UGA alum, by the way. So yeah, that's why we do that. I'm a huge Florida fan, but I do respect the fact that he went to Georgia. So
go Dogs.
Yeah. But yeah, let's move on here. And let's go Patriots Bengals.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of interesting things here. Jeremiah, where do you want to go first with this one?
Man, I'm sitting here thinking Drake, alt passing yards. Is it rushing? Is it alt passing touchdowns? Would there be a value, Joseph, in, because we talk about the finite amount of plays when we make 3 or 4 legs within a game. Is there anything to boosting odds for just an entirety game on all facets for Drake May? Are you able to get the numbers up for, say, a Drake May rushing touchdown or alt rushing yards, alt passing yards, alt passing touchdowns? Is that even a thing where you could juice the numbers to an all-encompassing performance? Because I feel like this could end up being run back city, a little bit of vulnerability for the Patriots on the road. Just weird things kind of happen there. We have a 5.5 point favorite, which is kind of like a trap line for the spread, favored for the Patriots, 51.5 over under. What would be the play? Would it be, and then also where would be the differentiation besides T. Higgins? I know Chev has some ideas that he wants to talk about on the Bengals side. So any viability to that Drake May wide net?
So the toughest part is, I haven't looked at the specific Drake May lines, but if I had to guess, they're really high. That's going to be the toughest part. Is that the Bengals defense, everyone knows that they're really bad, and they're really, really bad. They are the worst defense in the NFL bad. They're just truly awful. and they don't generate any pressure. Drake May has the number one predicted pressure matchup heading into this week. He has been phenomenal. To give you a new stat that I created, it'll come out on PFF tomorrow on free article on Coach I Was Open, but EPA capture rate. So looking at how like the potential EPA on the field. So like given how well your receivers are running their routes, how deep they're running their routes, like all the information on how the receivers are playing, I predict EPA. And I can see what is your potential, right? Like how good could you have it, right? And then I look at how good you actually have it. How good are you at actually getting EPA in those scenarios? Drake May has like the third best EPA capture rate in the NFL and the highest potential, right? He is playing out of his mind right now. Like it's hard to understate just how much he's playing out of his mind. And the Bengals allow the highest EPA capture rate in the NFL by like a margin. So we have the situation where the Bengals are like, they just allow all the EPA, no matter what your potential is. And the Patriots have a ton of potential, and Drake May is amazing at capitalizing on that potential. I think that this could be like, this could be a situation where Drake May like really crushes his alts. I mean, it really could be a situation where he like far surpasses his alts. The question is the price right? Because I worry the price is not going to be there. And that's the biggest issue is just the price. But I do think that this is by far the most interesting and exciting game for Drake May to have the capability of just destroying his alt lines.
Let me ask you guys this. Going back to the very first game that we covered, where we talked about the run game and then, teams potentially slowing it down, like, is there, because we're looking over the last four, which, that's the sample size that, we like to use. And over the last four, the Bengals are allowing 200 yards a game rushing. They just traded Logan Wilson. Like, talk me off the ledge here thinking that the Patriots will just try to possess the ball for about 42 minutes. I mean, we're thinking potentially Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's taking all the first team reps at practice this week. What is the likelihood that Mike Vrabel does some Bill Belichick shit and just says, hey, man, you're going to have to do everything you're going to do today in less than 20 minutes. Good luck.
Yeah, I think, and the thing is just to throw it on the other side, the Bengals have gotten better at running the ball lately.
Yes.
And neither defense is actually like good at stopping the run. They, like both defenses kind of allow above average EPA per play on the run. So yeah, I fully think that this could be a situation where both teams might lean into the run more than we expect. So like
that makes me sad.
Yeah, I know it is a sad thing because I do think this might be like, if I'm going to bet on anything for like Drake May this week, it's going to be like on his efficiency, like something like under attempts and then like over completions, right? Like, and really try to get to juice that and do it that way. But I don't know. I think that this is a spot that I do think I could easily see what you're saying. Both teams are pretty good at running the ball, playing defenses that are bad at stopping the run. You could end up having a running clock for a lot of this game.
I kind of see Joe Burrow being the run back that keeps it honest.
Okay. Now,
could happen.
Flip side that flips this game on its head. Patriots run game. We've seen Travion Henderson now, sixth fastest ball carrier speed on the season. Bengals allow a ton of explosive plays and miss an inordinate amount of tackles, right? Let's go Travion alt yards or whatever if we can get a good plus, and then a Joe Burrow run back with, Mitchell Tinsley, who seems to get more snaps this week. He was a preseason hero. I know T. Higgins odds are probably not going to be priced properly, and then or a run back with Mike Gesicki, who the Patriots do allow a ton of receptions to the tight end position. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts there with a potential, hey, getting a piece of the run game so we capitalize on that and then running it back with one of these off the beaten path options that might have sneaky value?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, the big question is like what can you get those odds to, right? To make yourself happy with that. And that's where you really want, like, I typically try to, like, if I was betting something like that, I would want it to be at least 30-1 and it to be something that I was relatively comfortable with, and I would have like a good reason to do it. So like you said, like Mike Gesicki kind of steps in as like maybe the wide receiver 2 on this offense, right? Like the tight end 1, wide receiver 2, and playing against a team that does allow a lot of tight end receptions. That's something that interests me, right? Like I'm like, okay. And then you pair that with an explosive run or 2. Now you're talking about a story that no one else is talking about. It's probably not being priced properly. You know, that's a situation where I'm a lot more interested. I don't hate that idea at all. Is kind of what I'm saying.
And that's kind of the idea. One, there's a very mainstream outcome if you speak Vrabel knees, where he just decides to possess the ball for 42 minutes, and it's just not fun for anybody. The other environment potentially is one of these backs creates an explosive that kind of blows the game open to where the Patriots now are no longer in possession of the ball, and the Bengals are chasing points with their MVP caliber quarterback, and we're getting fed targets. We're getting belt-fed targets to Mike Gesicki, or maybe even Mike Gesicki, Andre Yosevas, Mitchell Tinsley. We're just saying that I'm assuming that T. Higgins is going to be priced properly with no Jamar Chase and him as a wide receiver 1, right? Like that's just kind of the thought process. But yeah, I wanted to just make sure that like I expressed that, because I was like, man, that's a really interesting story to where we can get a good run back and get the most likely outcome involved in the story, right?
Yeah. No, I think that it's like and that's like the big key is like when you combine this rushing and receiving threat, like where do the odds go to on that? And that's what determines this whole story, right? Like it's like if it goes to at least 30-1 or like 50-1, it's like that's when you should be getting a lot more interested. If say it only goes to like 15-1, I don't know.
Would part of what I think, because on one end Chev is talking about what could happen with the running game, and then on the other side you had mentioned earlier, Joseph, Drake May, you would be what, over completions, under attempts
potentially. I mean, like this is such a weird situation where he just the defense is so bad at everything. It's just what do the Patriots want to do? Like if we knew their game plan, we would make so much money. But it is we don't. But they're going to be able to do anything they want in theory, like passing the ball. They're going to be able to do anything they want. It's just how much are they going to want to do?
I think that plays, though, into the point of the finite amount where we could drain so much clock, but then get the Drake May thing to hit, but it may not be all the way to the alt-right. And again, you said a lot of price points are going to be so to the further right pendulum that we really just have to end up with, I don't know, is this something I said?
Close enough. Yeah, pendulum. Yeah, you're close.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. So hey, hopefully just good things happen in this game. Everybody watch.
Well, yeah, and like I'm just thinking right now, but like the idea of saying maybe like Drake May under attempts, over completions, and then maybe alt rushing yards, because like one of the things that make Drake May so accurate, it's actually his ability to just run away from bad throws, right? Like he's like, oh yeah, I don't want to throw that ball, I'm going to run it. Yeah. And that allows his completion percentage to be so good. Like he just runs it when he doesn't want to throw it. And so like something like that might work out to being a decent SGP. And I'm sorry we don't have pricing to give you exact plays right this moment, but it's I think that like something like that in combination with like a Bengals second tier receiver having a good game. Andre Yosevas has had a good P-Whopper this season. Maybe he's a decent play. And also Mike Gesicki, I think, could be a decent play for the tight end reasons we discussed earlier.
Yeah. All right. So there's Browns Raiders. Is there anything there that grabs your attention?
I mean, not really. I mean, like Shedeur high passing yards is kind of fun. I don't really think it's going to happen, but that's kind of why it's fun, right? Like it's like a worse version of the Tyrod thesis, right? It's like, man, we really don't know what.
Okay. Would Cedric Tillman, we had, what was it, 3, 10, and 12 wide receiver finishes. It was a whole narrative last year in fantasy football in the offseason. Like, hey, in my 3-week fantasy football league, Cedric Tillman is an absolute hooper. is this an opportunity where, because I think, did I not see that Jerry Jeudy was on the Coach I Was Open?
He is, yes. Or
Okay.
he's on route-based heroes. But yeah,
So
he's a positive regression candidate.
So do you see anything to, play some Jerry Jeudy in a straight bet for his touchdown? Or would there be a play where, Cedric Tillman is just the AD Mitchell, but on the Browns for this week?
Yeah, the tough part is that I who knows if this offense will be able to score a touchdown with Shedeur there. I don't know how good or bad he's going to be, and I don't think anyone does. But that's also what makes it appealing play.
Did we find a game that's actually disgusting enough for you to just be like, this is actually unappealing?
No, I will still bet it probably.
Just wanted to check.
The thing is, I think 260. I checked this earlier. His 260-yard line was plus 1,100.
Oh man,
yeah, that's 11 to 1 for 260 yards is insane. I'm gonna bet that. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, you have to.
260 yards is not a lot.
The Raiders. You can tell both ways. Hey, it's the Raiders defense, or you can say, hey, the Raiders defense is a great streaming play because it's Shedeur Sanders. Well,
exactly. But that's the thing is everyone's gonna think the other thing, but it's 260 yards is not a lot of yards. That is not a lot. Sometimes an NFL quarterbacks might accidentally get 260 yards, and the Raiders defense is not good. They are not a good defense. And if Shedeur even has an inkling of talent at the NFL level, it's possible. I'm not saying it'll happen, but it's possible. And that's where I'm interested in building out some kind of 100 to 1 using Shedeur 260 as as a baseline to get to that 100 to 1.
Right. And it just is hey, if the circus tent is high enough, all the clowns can fit in it, right? So we could go, Cedric Tillman alt, Coach I Was Open, route-based hero, Jerry Jeudy alts. We can fit those things. We can fit those things into a story that involves Shedeur throwing for 260 yards. The Raiders defense somehow, even with Max Crosby, they just don't generate any sort of pressure, especially not quick pressure, which would be the thing that would foil Shedeur Sanders. There's just going to be people open, is what we're trying to say.
Hey, if you pitch a tent, the people will come.
They will. The thing about the bets like this, right? When you push them out to the 100 to 1, if 100 to 1, you need to hit one a season, right? It's really something like that. You need to hit one a season, if that. And the idea is that this does happen more often than once a season, right?
Yes.
We see this all the time where this team we didn't think was going to pass for a lot of yards, just all of a sudden pass for a lot of yards. Jacoby Brissett decides to break the completion record, right? You have these things where the NFL is weird. The NFL, this stuff happens all the time. So I just I'm not saying it will or won't be Shedeur, but I'm just saying it's possible that it's Shedeur, right. And that I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. So.
Well, you make a great point because it sounds crazy before week 11. And then after the fact, when we look back at, hey, this is what Jacoby Brissett did, you're like, oh, yeah, that's not so crazy. So when we see these nasty matchups, we have to understand that, to your point, level and agnostic to the fact of whatever the teams are, just understand it's NFL talent, that these plays aren't as crazy. So if you can just kind of look at the numbers and just be neutral to it, I think that can really benefit us a lot.
Yep. Any given Sunday, right?
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about this is you're chasing things that other people aren't paying attention to. That's why we spend so much time explaining the process, because you're going to hear somebody come in and say, hey, lock of the week is going to be Travion Henderson over 60.5 rushing yards at minus 150. Who needs that type of who needs that?
Yeah, that's I would never bet that in all my life, right? That is something I would stay away from like the plague. And it's just because there's just no value in it, right?
Exactly.
If you can find value on the right tail of the distribution, which is my intention, all you need to do is hit a few a year. And the key is doing it through data. It's not just doing it through feelings. It's not doing it it's doing it through math and doing it through data. You can hit these things, and the profit is there. There's profit to be had doing it, and doing it in a mathematical, data-driven way.
Yeah. Speaking of mathematical-driven analysis and data, please tell everybody where they can find your work on Substack, and plug the Patreon, everything that you got going on.
I write an intense weekly debrief of all the analytics and models that I do. It is far too long, but my wife is like, how do you write so many words every single week? And I just do. It takes a lot out of me. Like, it is after I publish it, I'm like done. I'm just like, okay, we did it. Like that was just every single week. It is like the most intense thing I do because I work on it for, I put it at least 40 hours of work into this thing. It's a full-time job in a lot of ways. And so I put a ton of work into this. I look at the matchups, I look at the models, I look at everything. And then I come up with some stories on how I think these games are going to play out. I think I'm pretty good at it. I've hit a lot of stories this season. But yeah, you can find me at Substack at Koala TY Stats. I publish one free matchup a week, and then I have moved it to a paid subscription because it is 40 hours of work every week. I have moved it to a paid subscription, but I do publish a free matchup every week, and so that people can still enjoy it even if they don't have the opportunity to pay for it.
Yeah, that's called a teaser, ladies.
Maybe a little bit.
And it's well worth it. Like, again, I'm not just a client, I'm the player president. Like, I believe, and it's changed the way that I do my preparation for fantasy stuff. So I'm over the moon about it. Jeremiah, tell everybody where they can find your work.
Hey, Preparation H. I do Trade Gods right behind Coach Chev here. Aronde Gatson. We were talking that talk this week. So go on Playa Profiler and just see what we have going on with Trade Gods. Really good show, very topical to whatever's going on. We covered Ibuka, Tedero McMillan, Aronde Gatson, players we're grateful for. So check that out.
Yeah. And again, I'm Chev. You can find me here, or if you want to follow me on social media at your own risk of me hurting your feelings, you can do so at Chev90, and the link tree with everything that we're working on is there. This has been Bet On It. This is one of my favorite hours to do every single week because of the fact, it's only 45 minutes because we're about to start, Thursday night football. And I think I heard one of my kids just scream at the other one. So this has been Bet On It. We'll see you guys next week. Oh, hey, before we go, we're going to actually put the plays out. I know I said that we would last week, but we're actually going to put them out this week. So be on the lookout for that Sunday morning. Okay. All right. Now for real, we're going this time.